Your Partner in Success Radio is a free business podcast with host Denise Griffitts. It's all about great stories, conversation, and context to help you move your business and life forward with actionable tips and advice from her guest experts. To listen and subscribe, just find us on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you consume your podcasts.
Good morning and welcome to Your Partner in Success Radio. I am your host, Denise Griffitts, and this podcast has been bringing you conversations with authors, entrepreneurs, mentors, and business leaders for almost 18 years now. And we're honored to be ranked in the top 1.5% of the podcasts worldwide. And honestly, it's because of my guests. They are fascinating. Today, I'm joined by Matthew Montgomery. Now, Matthew is a hardware engineering consultant and producer with Floating Lava Studios. Fascinating name, Floating Lava Studios. And he is about to, he is about to embark on NASA's second CHAPEA mission. It's a 370-day simulation of life on Mars. And by the way, I tagged Elon Musk this morning because I want him to listen to this. And today we explore how his unique background prepared him for this extraordinary challenge, what he expects from the mission, and how he's readying himself to live in isolation while pushing the boundaries of human exploration. And this episode of Your Partner in Success Radio is sponsored by Devin Blaine and the Blaine Group Incorporated. Devin and her team specialize in stand-up publicity and crisis management. And by the way, she introduced me to today's guest, Matthew Montgomery. And he's a leading engineer and filmmaker. And Devin is just fabulous. She's one of my very dearest friends, and I suggest you contact her if you need anything. So Matthew, thank you for joining us as you prepare for one of the most intense human exploration simulations ever, NASA's CHAPEA Mars mission. And we were just talking about this in the green room with just days before you enter the Mars Dune Alpha habitat for a year. What are your top goals for this groundbreaking mission?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Excited to talk about the mission. So just maybe stepping back real quick, CHAPEA is a Mars analog mission. It's down in Houston at Johnson Space Center, NASA. And it's an acronym for Crew Health and Performance Exploration Analog. So a bit of a long acronym there. But what the goal is of the experiment is to prepare for sending humans to Mars. It's part of NASA's Moon to Mars initiative. And it's, one of the further pieces on that Mars journey, the last leg there. But what we're trying to do is come up with, the human aspects of the Mars mission. What's the food systems look like? What do isolation and confinement look like? And how do those affect the human side performance in mission? What do exercise routines look like? How can exercise help keep a crew healthy, keep them performing? So those are kind of some of the broad goals, and we can touch on all those in a little bit more detail. But I think your question, what am I doing? So we're getting ready to ingress 1 week from today. So on October 19th, I've been down in Houston training for the last 4 weeks, preparing for the mission. So my goals, very specifically, are to provide NASA and the incredible team. It's quite a large interdisciplinary group that are looking at this research, but I'm thinking of it as myself as a test subject. How can I just perform and meet the goals and complete the task that they're asking me to do? And I think that's going to be my guiding light through the entire mission, is just wake up every day and go, how do I provide the best data that can help us, hopefully get to Mars and get to Mars soon.
And I'm finding this fascinating. When Devin introduced you, I went, oh, heck yeah. I didn't even, when she told me who you were and what you were doing, I said, have him call me now. Let's do it now. Because otherwise, you would have had to wait until the next year when you're out of there, and I wasn't willing to wait until next year. So I have a couple of questions, though. Number one is, how did you become involved in this mission? And maybe more importantly, I'm not sure, but what qualifications or experiences made you an ideal candidate?
Yeah, great questions. Talking about Devin real quick, I love her as well. It's been a pleasure getting to know her over the years and working with her. So yeah, definitely everyone, please check out the Blaine group and Devin and get to know her. Coming back to how did I get involved in this? So kind of on the personal side, I've developed more and more of an interest in space and human space travel over the years. I've got an engineering background, so my education's in electrical engineering. I've worked in that space, particularly like the hardware startup side, over the last decade or so. What does that mean? That means basically when companies come up with an idea and they start working through their initial design concepts, I often get involved and help them develop those concepts into real products. So spaces that I've been involved with are a little bit of the robotics. So building real hardware in the world that does things. That's a piece I like, and it's kind of a consistent theme for me is going and doing things in the real physical world, be it as a human or in film or in engineering design. um, and then out of the robotics side, I was also got involved in controlled environment agriculture. So basically growing plants indoors, in very resource confined or maybe resource precision environment. So like not trying to use a ton of water, just giving plants exactly what they want, giving them the amount of light that they want. So I've developing this hardware side over the years, developing this interest in space, and then also kind of on the film side, we I own a production company with my partner Margot. That's Floating Lava Studios. So we were, it's a small independent company. We film often on location in kind of remote environments. So we filmed in the high desert in New Mexico a couple times, and those kind of feel like expeditions. Every time you go on a film set, you do a lot of planning. You prep the team. You've got to get everyone there to the location. You've got to execute in a really precise time frame. You got to take all of that back with you and then analyze what you've done in the edit room. So I'm kind of building these two different sides of film and engineering concurrently, along with that piece of space interest. And I'm going, I think I could potentially be a good candidate to be an astronaut. So I had applied a couple times to the astronaut program because they're looking for a lot of these similar skills. We think of space travel, it's really an expedition that requires a lot of pre-planning, a lot of going somewhere and executing, and a lot of analysis of data. Um, and then you need a technical background, and I have that technical background. So I had applied to those programs, and along the way, I saw a little bit of the first CHAPEA mission, and I was listening to some of their audio logs and became very interested in what they were doing. So I started, waiting for the next one to open up, and I saw the CHAPEA 2 application open up a little over a year ago, and I read through the application, and the my background, sure enough, was a really good fit. You needed a STEM master's degree, um, or a medical background or a pilot background. So I met one of those through the STEM background and applied. And yeah, it's been a long, year to year and a half process going through the medical evaluations and um, psychological evaluations, physical evaluations. But, you know, fast forward, that's kind of how I landed here.
And I have to ask you, what was your reaction when you found out you had gotten in? Did you jump up and dance? What did you do?
Yeah, it's been I would say a progression of clearing gates, is maybe the best way to think about it. So you make it through, uh, you submit an initial application, and kind of like with all big jobs or government positions, it feels like it goes into the void where you go, I don't know if I'll ever hear anything, or I'll hear a long time. But you get that initial response, uh, kind of saying, "Hey, go for some medical evaluations," and that one's very exciting. That initial, because you go, "Oh wow, I've made it through the first filter," and that's incredibly exciting. And um, the progression to, you know, make it through the next rounds into on-site evaluations is, maybe humbling is a great word. You come to Johnson Space Center, and this is the epicenter of human space flight. And there's just so much culture and history, and amazing people here. You you realize the gravity of kind of the situation, um, where, you know, this is real. We're working towards steps to go to Mars, and I knew it theoretically. Stepping foot on site really, uh, just snaps you in and grounds you to, uh, the reality of, you know, these are the steps that we have to take to get there, and there are huge teams working, across, you know, many different research disciplines, to get us here. So that kind of experience is very humbling. And once moving through some of those other later evaluation weeks, when we got through, the actual, you know, selection and assignment as one of the primary crew members. So maybe that piece is interesting. Right now there's four primary crew members, of which I'm one, and then there's two backup crew members that are training with us as well. And then ultimately, the four primary will be the ones that enter and complete the mission. But getting that, you know, final assignment as one of the primary crew members is incredibly exciting. I will be the science officer. So that was, you're both hoping for, a primary position because you want to go on the mission, and then, um, you can, you know, make some assumptions on what your role might be. But the role of the science officer I found particularly interesting, because of my background in agriculture, and engineering. That so the science officer position, will have a lot of responsibility for, science operations. We have hydroponic systems in the mission, so growing some of the plants, I think I can bring a particular level of, expertise to that area. Some of the geology experiments that we'll do, I'll run the lead on those. I'm excited for that aspect. I've got, um, a little bit of background in mycology, so the growth of mushrooms and, their applications. So I think some of that experience will couple well into the geology side. So yeah, I think I touched on a couple things there, but yeah, just excitement throughout as you move through the process.
Listen, I'm excited for you. And can you walk us through what you'll be doing day to day during the mission? Like what kinds of tasks and experiments are planned other than what you just mentioned?
Yeah. So, the goal is to, you know, gather data on what, life would be like, for, uh, you know, astronauts that would make this journey. So, day to day life for us will be very, yeah, I'd call it, you know, scheduled or regimented. Um, a good parallel is thinking of the International Space Station, ISS. So the crews on there are, also living a very scheduled and regimented life because the time is valuable. So it'll be space flight like. We'll do, um, what we call Mars walks, but they'll be essentially simulated spacewalks. Um, those spacewalks, we call them EVAs, or extravehicular activities. So the area that we're living in, or the habitat, as we call it, or the HAB for short, has both a living space. The living space is roughly 1,700 square feet. So that has crew quarters. Each of us have an individual room. It has living space, so a kitchen and a small recreational area. It has a working room. So that's got computers and science space, engineering space. It has a exercise room. There's a medical bay, and then kind of we call it an IVA room, an intervehicular activity. So it's kind of a small mission control that would be localized to us, working with anyone that's outside the habitat in the area we call the sandbox. So there's an area that has what looks like a Martian landscape. It's red sand, or regolith, kind of equivalent to sand, simulating what that Mars environment would be like. And there's also a VR space on the outside, or virtual reality space, where we can don VR gear, and it puts us on the surface of Mars, where we can complete some of those extravehicular activities. So really building a high fidelity environment, where we can do all of the space flight like things that we would expect crews to do on Mars. So coming back to that schedule, we'll have some days where we're doing these extravehicular activities. Most days we'll have a prescribed exercise regime, which is a very important piece. If we think about space flight, and again, drawing parallels to the space station, in these microgravity environments, we won't be simulating microgravity, but microgravity will have effects on anyone going off planet. You have to both do resistance type training and cardio training to keep up your strength and conditioning, especially if you're going to land on a planet after a long journey. You're going to need to be physically viable to complete the task once you land. So we'll be doing very similar exercise prescription to what they expect Mars inhabitants to do. We'll also be looking at and eating the food systems that they expect to send. So food systems are maybe one of the most critical pieces of this analog. If you think about, like, how will we feed people that go to Mars? The current plan is that everything would be sent prior to any humans going. So the whole food system would be pre-positioned. And there's a lot of complications around how much food do you send. And that's something you have to get right. So that's a piece that the researchers are looking at with CHAPEA. It's, have we planned these food systems correctly, and then testing that they have done so. So you can think of the whole thing as kind of a energy expenditure. You've got calories in, and then we're going to be doing exercise, and we're going to be doing mission tempo equivalent days. So if you go out on an EVA for 6 hours, that's a large energy expenditure. So all of that comes back to, we planned the food and the energy correctly. So that piece is there. And then I think we talked a little bit about the medical side. So are we maintaining that health and performance throughout the mission? So we'll also be doing some science experiments, which will be very similar again to like the ISS. So a little bit of geology, looking at some seed experiments, crop growth will be a big one. I think specifically for me. So there's a hydroponic system, which is basically growing plants without soil just through water nutrient system and artificial lighting or LED lighting. So I'm excited, particularly for that side of things, coming from that controlled environment background, um, where I've done that on kind of more industrial large scales, but seeing that on a more flight-like um, scale is very exciting to me. Um, I think having some supplemental, uh, not fruits, sorry, vegetables and herbs, things like that, will be very valuable for the mental side of a mission. Just think about having some fresh vegetables. I particularly find refreshing, and you want some crunch in your meals and some variety of textures and flavors. I think that it will um, just give everyone a little boost throughout the mission. So yeah,
I don't know why I thought of radishes when you said crunch.
we have radishes planned in
Really?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
in our selection.
So I
Uh,
love radishes. A lot of people don't, but I think they're just little mini turnips.
I love them. So I'm excited. I think they make a exactly like you said, a nice little addition, especially in a salad. Just some slivers. So
Exactly. I wanted to ask you, and this is not my question. My sister asked me this last night, and I have to
okay,
sneak it in like
love
right
it.
now, or she'll
Yeah.
never talk to me again. But during the mission, will you have real-time access to Earth for communication, or will there be delays like a real Mars mission? I think I read that typical delays are about 22 minutes.
Yeah, such a great question. Yeah, that's also another like key critical piece to it of our experiment and analog. So we will not have access to the internet or to our cell phones. So yeah, trying to get the simulation as accurate as possible. So yeah, like you mentioned, there will be communication delays. So NASA is simulating the communication delays based on the planet alignment between Earth and Mars. So depending on how far away the planets are, that time delay varies over the course of the year. So yeah, you're right. On the high end, one-way communication would be up to 22 minutes. So you think if we send a message, it's got to go 22 minutes to reach Earth, and then waiting for the response to come back is another 22 minutes, and that's just the best case scenario. That's if everyone's responding immediately. We also have bandwidth limitations, so. Um, you think about this, it would be satellite communication, and those would have, bandwidth limitations. It's not like being on Earth where we're so connected at this point. You've got basically a channel that you're sending through. The way we're thinking about it, it's almost go back to like the dial-up days in a way, and where you just can't move very quickly data over those channels. So that's going to be a very different piece for NASA and for our analog. If going back to the space station as maybe an example, the communication's very quick. It's almost real time. So if you ever see videos of the space station and mission control here in Houston talking to the space station, it's a very back and forth kind of conversation, very integrated environment. Um, Even on the moon, those communications are quite quick, going back and forth compared to Mars. So that's a piece. How does we will have a mission control for our analog, and they will also be encumbered by this time delay. So we have kind of a lot more isolation than what the current operations are used to. So gathering data on how does the crew operate with that limited back and forth communication, how does that affect mission success? How can we build better communication back and forth, meaning in the processes that we use to communicate? So yeah, there's on the mission side, excuse me, there's a lot to that. And then I think a lot of people always ask me on the personal side, how's that going to affect you? Because do you think now the main form or pretty much only form of communication that we're going to have is through email? So
Oh, I was going to ask you because you're going to be away from both your business and your life partner for a very long time.
totally, yes, yeah. So I've been with my partner for you know 13, 14 years. So we lived together. We co-owned Floating Lava Studios together and worked together. So uh, yeah, big personal challenge. And I think the thing that's going to affect me the most is that time away from her and from the business as well. Um, it's that's a challenge. We're going to have to adapt to uh, the limited. Where our normal day is very interactive. We're passing things back and forth continually and breaking for conversations and interacting, and that's not going to be possible in this environment. So we've been strategizing, how do we work through these communication challenges? Um, One thing that we've come up with recently is I think we're both going to try to create like a running list. So say like a Word document where throughout the day we just kind of document some high points of how just that normal day-to-day life is feeling, and then send it to each other when we have the opportunity. And then in our spare time or downtime, we'll each be able to go through and kind of catch up on how the other person's day was. Um, so that's
And
kind
I
of
I
our
love that because I
strategy.
actually had sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
no, yeah, you're great.
I actually wrote down journaling because I suspect you all by yourself up there,
Hmm.
you're gonna have a lot to talk about, but I love that you guys have defined that you need to be doing this together.
Yeah, I think the support system is such a critical piece to both this analog mission and all of human spaceflight. It it isn't about individuals; it's about a very large team, both the NASA support teams and your personal support team. So your friends and your family. Um, I feel like it's kind of a piece of everyone coming together to help get through and succeed on something like this. So just an incredible amount of support from my family and my friends to say, "Hey, are you packing the right stuff?" Or "How can I help you?" Or "How can we stay in touch?" Or what do you need? And just uh, so much thanks to that side and also to the NASA side. Their support teams are so welcoming and warm. It's been incredible getting to know them and working with them. I'm excited. We feel, I think, as a crew, a part of their family and vice versa. So, um, yeah, that side's, very encouraging to have that level of support.
It sounds like it. And I also wrote down what kind of can you take hobbies or distractions? What can you take with you
Mhm.
that will help you keep your mind fresh and creative? Creativity is so critical.
Definitely, definitely. On the what can we take? So we've got limitations. That's what they'll have going to Mars. So again, trying to keep that simulation fidelity high. We've been limited on the number of pounds that we can bring with us. So that includes, everything that you just mentioned, clothing items that we want to bring,
Books,
hobbies,
yeah,
yeah,
right.
hobbies, books. So yeah, to on that side, we've got an allocation of books that we all got to select. So they gave us a number of books that we could bring, and we all got to pick those. I kind of chose mine as a mix between books that I thought might be helpful and topics I was interested in educating myself on. So I brought some geology books, and I brought some Mars related books, and then also some novels and things like that on the entertainment side. Um,
And
some
y'all can share these books, so you're not
Yeah,
just
exactly.
you don't
Yeah,
have to just count on what you brought. You guys can all kind of when I was a kid, we read a lot, and my
yeah.
brother would take us to the library, and we'd get home and unpack our books and get in a row on the couch
Oh, I
and
love
read
it.
and then pass them on.
Yeah, I think reading's going to be such a good use of time, both to unwind and to kind of engage yourself in a new environment. But it felt exactly like you're describing. We we each kind of beforehand, the crew compared the book list that we were going to bring. So we both strategized together. So yeah, there's definitely going to be the passing around of books,
Right.
and um, we also got to bring a terabyte worth of media on a hard drive. So, kind of as a movie guy, definitely a lot of movies on there. Um, One that we haven't touched on a ton yet is Floating Lava Studios has a Christmas movie coming out
I
this
saw
holiday
that. It
season.
looks lovely.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's The Spirit of Christmas Station. So that'll be coming out on Tubi in November. But I will be bringing that movie in. The crew's kind of known that was working on it kind of throughout some of the selection process, and they knew it was going to premiere. So none of them have seen it yet. They're excited and always saying, "Hey, let's watch it. Let's watch it." And I was like, "No, no, we're not until we're in." But what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a Mars premiere of the movie to coincide with the premiere on the outside as kind of a treat. So we're gonna premiere it on uh, Black Friday or November 28th, which happens to also be Red Planet Day.
It
Uh,
is, and I wanted to ask you what that day was going to look like for you
yeah,
guys, so thank you for sharing that.
it's such a good time to, I think, mix the two. If you think about Thanksgiving weekend, so Spirit of Christmas Stations, your typical holiday film. It's feel good rom com. Uh, think like Hallmark style movie. So a perfect one for that Thanksgiving Day weekend. Um, Black Friday, I think, is such a good time to pop on one of those and relax with either the family or start doing your Christmas decorating. But since we won't be able to do all those things, to try to have a little bit of that experience doing the first ever Mars premiere is what we're calling it, of the Spirit of Christmas Station, will hopefully let us feel a little bit of that Christmas spirit coming in, and then also anyone that's following our journey, they can you know do the same thing with us and enjoy the Mars premiere and go on Tubi and watch the film kind of along with us at the same time. So I think that'll be a nice way to pull the two worlds together and still kind of have some of that holiday fun.
Absolutely, and 2 questions, are you taking Red Dwarf with you? Come on, you have to.
Yeah. That's a good one. I didn't think about it. Yeah.
I love Red Dwarf,
Yeah.
always have.
I'm still polishing I have space, so I'm going through what didn't I get yet. But yeah, I'll try to find that one and put it on there.
Oh, it's hysterical. I watch very, very little TV. I'll read anything. I'll read the back of a cereal box if
Mm-hmm.
that's all that's handy, and I don't eat cereal, but TV, unless it's something British and hysterical. I may be up at 2 o'clock going, "Ooh,
Yeah,
Red Dwarf." So
yeah,
off I go.
yeah.
And the IT, IT, but there's a bunch of 'em. But I wanted to ask you, and you just mentioned, how can people follow you during all of this? Is it
Yeah.
going to be broadcast anywhere? How do we keep in touch?
Yeah, so I think following me personally would is one avenue to get there. So uh, check out Floating Lava's account. So on Instagram, that's Floating Lava Studios. You can also go to our website. That's floatinglava.com. Margot, my partner, will be posting along the way on the Instagram account of some of the updates. Those will get you some of the more personalized ones
All right.
about me and about Floating Lava's journey through this, and the Red Planet Day premiere of Spirit of Christmas Station. And then in general, the CHAPEA mission is going to be posted throughout on the NASA website. So right now, that's nasa.gov/humans dash in dash space. And then I think right now it's slash CHAPEA. But if you get to the humans in space section of the NASA website, it's very obvious where the CHAPEA mission is, and they'll be posting updates throughout the mission on our progress. So yeah, please, I encourage everyone to follow along there. You
Oh,
touched
I've
on
already
one.
bookmarked.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
Done did.
yeah, good, good, good. Um, yeah, you were saying about British humor and everything. One of the big ones that we decided to bring was a lot of the Doctor Who series. So that was a crew favorite to go back and rewatch some of that. So that's I think a nice mix of British humor and sci-fi.
Oh, British humor's the best. I don't find American humor to be all that funny, to be honest. I find it's largely just very crude.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder if I should have said that on the radio. Oh, well, too late now. So let's talk about team dynamics and mental resilience, because we've touched on that a bit, and we just talked about you sharing your books and sharing your videos. And I mean, it looks like you guys have all gotten together and said, this, and how about this? And let's put it all in a pile and share it. But team dynamics, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I had to be locked in a space with a bunch of people for a year, somebody wouldn't be coming out alive. It would probably be me. So, I
Yeah,
mean, are you looking forward to this? It's got to be tricky.
Ah, I kind of feel the other way right now.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, which I think is an incredible sign of where we are. But yeah, so touching on team dynamics, also just such an integral part of uh, success and what NASA hopes to learn. But like I was saying, the crew is 4 members. So there's a mission commander position, science officer, as I'll be fulfilling, medical officer, and a flight engineer. It's kind of covering the disciplines that you would need for a successful mission. But the crew is just like everyone that I've encountered so far at NASA, just an incredibly talented, competent, emotionally regulated group of people, that they are the exact people you would want to go on an expedition or a journey with. So, I look at them often as we've been training and just feel honored to be, a part of this team or this group. Um, you know, we will encounter challenges. That's both mission challenges and I'm sure interpersonal challenges along the way, as to be expected. But I think they're each bringing an incredible piece to the puzzle, and then NASA is also working to prepare us for those challenges. So there's incredible teams from behavioral health and performance. So that's the NASA psychology side. Um, they're working with us to prepare us on, you know, self resilience, self discipline, team dynamics, team interaction. So they're very aware very proactive. That's a huge piece of our training is working and preparing both as the individual and as the team, um, and getting through that and giving us the tools. You had mentioned journaling at one point. Um, Journaling such a great tool. I personally like it. Mindfulness meditation, I think's another great tool. So I, personally plan to use those two pieces at the individual level to help work and get through um, all the days and to capture some of this incredible experience. But yeah, these are the people that you would want to do this with. So I think I'm not worried. I'm excited to be interacting and working with them. And uh, you know, we have such a not only professional relationship, but we bonded on a personal level very much. We enjoy being around each other, and I think that's such a solid foundation to start this experience with.
Absolutely. So, Matthew, what are some of the most surprising challenges that you've encountered during this time that you're preparing for this mission? And I know you're leaving in a week. I'm just shocked
Mm,
by that. But was there anything that had you going, well, what the heck?
I think yeah, we're coming down to the end. I'm very mission focused at the moment and excited to get going. Um, as we've ramped up training, the line between kind of the our normal everyday life that we are coming from and the new normal of our mission life is starting to cross that gradient. So we're getting our day-to-day life is looking a little bit more like what the mission would look like during training. So we're starting to prepare for that. So I think the transition into the mission won't be as binary as it might seem from the outside. We feel, excuse me, like we're starting to live that way a little bit. Um, but on the challenges side, you're just coming from a different world. Each of us were coming from our civilian or military lives and transitioning into, more of, an analog astronaut type of life. There's a lot of challenges in that, doing tasks that we've never done before, that I've never done before. So just trying to learn and execute on some of those tasks. Um, some come very naturally and others aren't as natural. And there's a rapid pace of learning and executing. So I think for me, just coming in and if you attempt something and it didn't meet my personal performance expectations, just moving past it in the moment quickly and on to the next uh, task, is maybe my challenge where I want to do my best at everything I'm attempting and not dwelling if something didn't go quite right and then waiting until there's an opportunity to, reflect and learn or um, find a new way to move forward when that task comes back again. That's maybe been my personal challenge through training. It's an incredible learning experience.
Are you an autodidact? I am. You sound like one. So, I break things. I want to learn. I want to break it. I want it to be perfect, but it's never going to be. So I break it and I put it back together until it does work.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. That does resonate. So maybe.
Bet you are.
Yeah. Maybe.
Look
I
out.
haven't. Yeah. I haven't thought of it in that way.
Yeah, well, I never did
Yeah.
either until somebody accused me. I went, what? What does that mean?
I personally. Yeah. I like the hands-on very much. Where I'll take an introduction, a brief one, and then I want to get my hands on. I think
Exactly.
that engineering side. So
Do the
yeah,
same
yeah,
thing.
taking it apart and going, yeah, maybe that is the way for
Yeah. I
me.
don't learn by being told a darn thing. I learn by doing it.
Yeah, I prefer the learning by doing. Brief introduction and then let me add it, I think
Yeah.
is how
Yeah.
I would describe
I do
my
the same
my
thing.
preferred.
Right. It's just easier. Like I fight with my nav system. She's not the boss of me.
Yeah,
Don't tell me
exactly.
to go left. I want to go that way. So I'm
Yeah.
willing to bet you have some of that in your personality. But I
Oh,
wanted to ask you, and we were talking about the importance of teamwork and communication. It's an extreme isolated environment. Are you concerned about that? Or you think you've got it? You've been training. NASA's been working with you. You're feeling good about that?
yeah, I think that is the point of the mission is to find out how does the isolation impact the mission. So um, I feel good that we have the tools and the team to work through that. But uh, yeah, I think it will be a challenge to work through, like especially those dynamics around the communication that we were talking about with those delays. Um, if think about a scenario where we ask a question and I think we'll be faced with uh, the challenge of do we wait for specific answers or responses, or do we continue to execute? And there's going to be trade-off decisions that will have to be made there, um, because there is a limited amount of time to execute and to complete tasks and meet goals. Um, so yeah, I think the isolation piece from the mission side, I'm personally very interested to see how that plays out, and I know NASA is very interested in maybe discovering those dynamics and then optimizing those. Um, the isolation from a personal perspective, it's going to be challenging. I think that's a realistic expectation. You're going to just have the three other individuals there with you. Um, to become your localized family. Um, I'm happy that the individuals that were selected are the ones that are there because I've built good bonds with those individuals and they're people I would want to be around. So that's a very nice piece, but you're still leaving uh, a huge gap from your typical support system or your normal support system with your partner and family. And
There's going to be a certain amount of personal loneliness there.
yeah, I think that's a reality of the situation. And yeah, getting back to like you said, just how do you cope with that? So bringing some comforts from home, bringing books. We have an Xbox in the habitat for a little bit of escape there as
Oh, how
well.
fun.
And like film. We've also kind of gathered a collection of movies. I find some of those comforting. Music's another one. We've got a catalog of music that we've uh, pulled together. So just trying to
Oh, tell me
bring.
you're taking some ZZ Top with you.
We've got a lot of classic rock. We've got a big mix of everything. We've got.
Oh, good.
Uh, I think everyone likes a lot of different music. Is what it seems like from this crew. So I think diversity and just getting different, music, TV, books, just having some variety. That's I think the word I'm looking for, variety. In case we run into some monotony, will be the key to getting through some of it.
You
Just
know
trying to
what
have
else?
fun with it.
Yeah, yeah. And, obviously you have to take Robert Plant and,
Mm.
you know, you have to take them all. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a
We
little,
also like
little bit of
digital
opera,
book.
right?
Yeah, I did a lot of instrumental. I like the excuse me. I like the instrumental side when you're working, not having like lyrics and stuff.
Right. I do the same. I wanted to ask you, and this is an oddball question, but I've written it down twice, so it must be important to me. But You were talking about, exercising and staying fit. Will you have a rebounder with you? Do you know what a rebounder is?
No, I do not.
Oh,
I might once you say it, but
it's a little mini trampoline.
Oh, yeah.
It's a rebounder, but if I understand, and I have one and I love it, I believe that NASA created that after moonwalking, because
Mm,
the poor astronauts would come back and their legs wouldn't work.
yeah. The microgravity environment is
Right.
incredibly challenging for human physiology. The gravity will not be a part of our analog. That's one of the pieces that's not being pursued in this simulation.
Oh.
Um, Very challenging piece, but the the exercise regime, is Mars realistic or mission realistic based on the current research and planning that's going into the Mars missions. So ours will be they've selected devices that they think would potentially go on the journey or be in a Mars base. So it's a resistance based device to simulate like weightlifting. So you can think of it like a typical weight or resistance style regime. And then there's two cardio based devices to keep up your cardiovascular health, and you'll kind of oscillate between the devices based on. Sorry, pardon me.
No, I'm doing the same thing. This is about where I start losing my voice.
Yeah. Based on their prescription. So, um, that's a common word that the exercise physiology teams use is prescription and what modalities. So the
Mm.
modalities would be uh, cardiovascular and resistive, and then the prescription is the specific. Today you're doing a resistance based regime with these exercises at different weights and repetitions, and then on the cardiovascular side, uh, different intervals at different called speeds or rates. So quite similar to what they do on the space station. They have a very complex resistive machine up there. And then they have a cardio bike on the space station, and they happen to have like a sort of treadmill up there. We'll have different devices that are more Mars realistic, based on the constraints of it's very limited in the planning on what can be taken. It's a huge piece of the planning aspect. Um, of what they're looking to learn from our simulation is, can we, what do we need to take? How much does it weigh? What things are important? What things are not as important? So trying to make those trade-off decisions, um, particularly in weight, and that comes back to kind of all the pieces of it. We were talking about exercise, but yeah, on the exercise equipment, what is important? What is effective? Same thing on like the food systems. How much, do we need? Have we planned that right? Do we get the weights correct? Just all that mission forward planning um, to make the trade off decisions for the actual mission. It's just such an incredible goal out of this.
And you're part of the second one. Well, there's going to be a third one after this, right?
Yeah, so CHAPEA is a campaign, and correct. The mission one completed in the middle of last year, and then yeah, we're mission two, and we'll go through. I think our rough end date is Halloween of next year, and then yeah, mission three would be the third of the campaign. So basically, trying to repeat and build up a larger data set so that you can make more statistically significant decisions based off the research findings that they conclude.
That makes sense. So and I don't even know if this is an appropriate question or if you have an answer for it, but what did NASA learn from the first set that they had no idea about? That was like, oh my gosh, and now it's incorporated into the second one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that information. So, kind of as a participant, we're uh, specifically isolated from
Mhm.
knowing too much from the first one because you want us to see it kind of fresh and experience everything independently. So we will only get to know when the public gets to know on the back end of the campaign when they've collected all of the data and done all the analysis and going forward. So I'm also part of that journey. Excited to learn exactly what you asked. I've thought those questions and know that I can't know them yet, but I'm anticipating learning what they've learned at the end of the campaign.
And seeing it with different eyes.
Yeah, that'll be very fun. I
Yeah.
think.
And I wanted to ask you, Matthew, what lessons from your filmmaking career help you tell the story of human space exploration in your journals? And I'm sure you'll be making, a lot of, I don't know, movies. Yeah, what are you going to do when this is done?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Film, I think, is always best looked at as storytelling.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, and just it's the medium that you pick for that storytelling. I like the medium of film for storytelling because it's there's a bit of technology to it with the cameras and the editing and all of that side really appeals to me. And then it's a nice open palette. We touched on the expedition side. It's also in the real world. So that aspect of storytelling in that way is what draws me to film versus some of the other ones. Um, Related to this mission and what we're doing here, I think of NASA as a whole as a public storyteller also. If you think about the Apollo missions going to the moon, the amount of public support that you need to accomplish these incredibly large goals, you have to be able to tell the story of why and the importance of reaching and accomplishing something new. So, uh, NASA has that storytelling piece. I find that very appealing. So that's why I want to talk about the analog and what we're doing. I want to tell the story of what NASA is doing here because I think it's worthwhile and the public needs to hear what's going on with the Moon to Mars initiatives. I think they often don't realize how close we are to going back to the moon right now. And
I
uh,
was going to ask you about that because we landed on the moon. People and some people say, "Oh, it was fake." I don't believe it was fake, but we didn't go back. And I've always wondered what the heck happened. That was how many years ago now? Decades. What happened?
Yeah, yeah, it's just such an incredible challenge to do. But you know, we are in the process of it. The Moon to Mars initiative has been active, is active today. So the Artemis cruise and campaign is training. They are going back to the moon. So I think it took the public support and the technology to come back around uh, to make this possible. And going back to the moon is part of that learning and these initiatives with CHAPEA on the human side are part of the learning that we need to go further and get that step to Mars. Um, so yeah, just being here and telling the story and uh, you know m- showing the realism that it's the steps are happening and the ball is in motion. I think that's what I'm looking for there uh, for the moon and for Mars. That storytelling piece is there. Another piece I find interesting is, where there are humans and where there are people, there will be culture. I'm particularly interested in what's this culture going to look like on Mars? What's culture going to look like on the moon when we're going back? Um, so I'm personally thinking about that. I'm going to throughout the mission be thinking about uh, what culture are we developing in the habitat? What will life look like when explorers go to Mars? What will the journey look like? What will they be feeling? What's the physical environment and how is it impacting? So just taking in as much as I can on that side, and you know, I don't know where that's going to take me on the back end. I want to tell this story more once I come out. So I think I don't know the answer, and there's some fun to that. But the answer is I want to tell the story more, and I want to do whatever I can to contribute to progressing the human species forward in our exploration. That was my motivator for coming in. I think of research as kind of a large sand pile, and everyone that contributes to research kind of tosses their singular grain of sand onto the pile or the mound. And after a while, once enough people have tossed their grain of sand on top, you get something substantial. So that's kind of my motivation here with CHAPEA, is just throw my tiny little grain of sand in, and hopefully help. And when I come out, I think I'll have a new perspective, and I'll have done thinking and learning, and I'm going to see I'll have another grain of sand, and where can I throw that one? Is it in storytelling with filmmaking? Is it on the technical side with something I've learned that I can contribute to technology? Is it on the NASA side and human spaceflight aspect? I don't know, but I'm open to all of those possibilities. And right now, I think it's locking in and just completing the mission and giving them the data that they're looking for, and performing and getting through. And yeah, that's kind of where my head's at with all that.
And you've already promised to come back next year.
I have. I
Yep.
think
I
it will
can't
be
wait.
a fun, reversal of the conversation to say, how did it go and what did it look like? And I can maybe share some of these perspectives and
Right.
story side. So
And I'll have questions, lots of them.
good, good, good. I'm excited to be on that half and have a different perspective and share it. So
Well, we are running out of time. I wanted to ask you, what's one piece of advice that you'd give someone aspiring to work in space exploration or advanced technology fields? What would you like to tell them?
wow, yeah, such a good question. Um, I would say for me, it's find what inspires you. You've got to have that personal piece. So if it's technology, find the technology that you like, and go pursue it, and just become your own individual person through that pursuit. That's what it takes to, I think, survive or thrive in technology, is developing your own unique perspective through something that interests you in particular. I think that's also the same in film. You've got to have your own unique perspective, which comes through pursuing what's of interest to you. And I'm early in my interactions with NASA and space flight, but it's seeming like it's the same kind of theme there, where it's individuals across the board that have pursued something of specific interest to them, and they've developed a unique perspective. And when you get a lot of these individuals together with all of these unique perspectives, you kind of come back to my sandpile analogy, where they can all make a unique individual contribution that adds up to something, pretty massive and special. So
Absolutely. And this has happened throughout the ages. If you look at the arts, Leonardo da Vinci, you look at,
Oh, I love Da Vinci. Yeah.
me too, and Nikola Tesla. I mean,
Yes, you're
you
speaking my
look at,
language.
yeah, you look at what these people have done and the amazing things that they have left the world. And what are we doing with it?
Hmm.
So I look at a lot of these people, Henry Ford, for crying out loud. I was just reading an autobiography by him, but they were here for a reason. They left their mark for a reason, and I think they give us a lot to learn from. And what y'all are doing, same thing. You're sharing with us what we can learn.
That's yeah. That I know that's the goal of the CHAPEA campaign, and at the personal level, yeah, that's my motivations and goals, and yeah, just you picked two very, I think, perfect examples of individuals that followed their specific interests and passions, and those didn't fit molds of the time.
Not even, not
And
even a
they
little bit.
Yeah, they dabbled in a little bit of things that didn't seem intertwined. And I think, this perspective that we're looking at them from now, you go, oh no, they were very intertwined. We just didn't The people at the time didn't see it that way. They seemed disconnected, and these unique perspectives tied some pieces together for us. And both of them created something unique and beautiful, and yeah, really changed our perspectives. So
Yeah, very much. Leonardo da Vinci, I mean, some of the things that he created, helicopters.
yeah, we
Go
were literally
figure.
talking about him. I want to say it was like 2 weeks back. Just yeah, some of his early flying machines. There's a lot of pilots that we're interacting with right now, and yeah, just wow, talk about ahead of his time on that perspective, and some of those initial designs and sketches. They're really cool to look back on.
And
Yeah,
they're still in many ways in flux today.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, they
And
haven't gone away. They're like, "Oh, nice drawing." They're actually have turned into something that we're using now.
yeah, yeah, they're good ones to reference. You go, "Well, how are you thinking about this?" And yeah, what can we learn? And then have we looked at it all the ways, and any
And
perspectives we
we're
missed?
still going to learn from these people
Yeah, totally.
as more and more things are thought of and created and studied. You're going to be going, "I'll be darned. I missed that part."
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing.
Couldn't agree
Uh,
more.
I wanted to ask you before I reluctantly let you go, after completing this mission, what's next on your horizon, professionally or personally, or can you even take a guess?
Yeah, I think it's gonna stay in the filmmaking and engineering and space realms. I hope to tell some unique stories, influenced by this mission, uh, be it towards progressing future spaceflight. If you think about a lot of the films that, like maybe in the sci-fi realm, things that seem like vastly ahead, that were futuristic and unreal. A lot of those guide and inspire, I think, a lot of the engineers and scientists that are growing up watching those films. Um, so I'd love to maybe inspire through sci-fi another generation of scientists and engineers. Uh, Through maybe some grounded experiences in this CHAPEA experience. So that I think that's one way I would personally love to pursue that on the backside.
Well, that makes sense. And I have one more question. Why Mars? I'm not sure I've
Mm,
ever made the connection between Moon and Mars. I did, the moon landing was in 1969, I believe.
yeah, yeah,
That was a long time ago.
it was. Yeah,
But I guess my question, I'm not even sure there's an answer for it. It's bothered me for a long time. Why didn't we go back to Mars? Why didn't we go back to the moon? But why are we going to Mars instead of the moon? But you kind of explained that by saying there
yeah,
is something happening. I wasn't aware of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So at NASA, the initiative is the Moon to Mars initiative. It's an architecture that kind of the earlier phases go back to the moon, and then the latter phases extend to Mars. So the goal is to go to both. So there's a lot of interest in the moon, from a research perspective and from a resource perspective. My personal opinion is, why one, when we can do both, and we should go to both.
Right. And that, I guess that was my disconnect. It's like, well, we didn't really do much with the moon, so why are we going to Mars?
Yeah, I think it was a missed opportunity, and to not go back sooner. But sometimes
Yeah.
the timescales are maybe the only problem that we're talking about here, where zoom out decades or 100 years, and it might not feel as granular as it feels to you and I in the lived experience of it, where it might have just taken us this long to work through some of the technology to establish ourselves more on the
And
moon.
Congress, there's always Congress getting in the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Politics are for sure a piece, and um, I, it, but coming back to why Mars, Mars is an incredibly interesting piece of our solar system. I think there's many places that we could have gone, can go to, will go to, um, but sometimes you got to set a goal, and Mars is a good, long-term goal for us. We have rovers on Mars. We have satellites orbiting Mars. We have interest in the geological and planetary history of Mars, that are rapidly developing. If you look at some of the recent news that NASA has released, like, we think that there are potential life signatures on Mars. So, going and exploring that will give us a better idea of our history and the solar system's history. And I think people on the ground is both an incredible human accomplishment, but it gives you just a more high fidelity understanding of the environment and the history than the current robotics there. So it's a great compliment to all of the hard work that's gone into exploring that planet so far. Uh, but yeah, I think Mars, it's just we know a lot. There's a lot more to know. It's doable. Let's go.
And that makes sense. And by the way, whoever does land on Mars, take stockings, nylon, and chocolate. Yeah, do like they did in the war. Here, we
Yeah.
brought you presents. Matthew, before we say goodbye, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners? Any final thoughts or messages as you prepare to embark on this truly incredible mission?
Yeah, just want to touch back on the film. Like, come on the journey with us. Share the holiday experience with us on Red Planet Day. Go see the Spirit of Christmas Station, and watch along on Tubi. So that'll be available then. And I look forward to coming back and chatting with you more
Oh,
once the
thank
mission's
you.
complete.
I've already put it in my calendar. I will be watching. In fact, I think I'll have a cookie baking day and all my friends will come and we'll bake cookies and watch your movie.
That is the perfect complement to watching the film. We've got a little bit of baking in there. It's a great feel good movie. A little bit of humor, a little bit of the romance. I think, yeah, cookie baking's a great idea for watching with it.
I'm already planning it. Matthew, thank you for sharing your journey and the incredible commitment that you're making with NASA's CHAPEA mission. And as you prepare to enter this year-long Mars simulation, please know that we'll be watching closely, cheering you on every step of the way, and keeping you in our prayers for strength, safety, and success. Your courage and dedication inspire us all. So, for everybody listening, to follow Matthew's extraordinary mission, excuse me, and learn more about NASA's efforts to prepare for human exploration of Mars, visit NASA's CHAPEA webpage. It's easy to find. Just type in CHAPEA. You're going to get there. And stay connected with updates. And let's all stay curious and inspired as we witness this great leap for humanity. Matthew, thank you. Wishing you absolutely the best, and I can't wait to hear from you when it's over.
Thank you for the kind words and the nice send-off, and I also look forward to speaking on the other side.
The other side, you watched Apollo 13, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. We watched it recently.
I love that movie. Well, listen, I am Denise Griffitts. Thank you for listening in, and I will see you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Matthew, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you as well. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Get your voice heard. If you would like to launch your own far-reaching podcast, contact Denise Griffitts at yourofficeontheweb.com and go to the podcast tab.